All right, Coach Mike Kellar, Glenville State. Coach, we'll turn things over to you for an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Adam. I want to first apologize for the way I'm dressed. We had practice scheduled for this morning, so this afternoon would be this press conference and doing some walkthroughs. But when I woke up this morning, it was lightning out, so we had a lightning delay, and I had to kind of flip the morning over. So we're actually on the field for our specialist period in about 15 minutes. So this is going to work out exactly right into the schedule for today. Yeah, we're excited about the upcoming season. We feel like we've got a bunch of good young football players. I told the team, I think every coach in America coming into August feels good about their team and the amount of talent they've required and how the kids progressed. I've never heard a coach say, hey, my guys didn't do anything all summer, or we're not where we, or we don't have enough talent. I've never heard that. I've never heard that on the signing day, and I've never heard that when we report for August. The thing that we got to do is turn this group of athletes, of this collection of talent, if you will, and get it to turn into a team, a team that can execute, offensive football plays, defensive schemes, and do well in the kicking game. And, a year ago, this was very different than anything we'd ever dealt with in the past. We really concentrated and spent the majority of our time just trying to get the guys in school, keep them in school, get them through all the COVID protocols. And all. That was how we were defining success. And when we did get on the field, we were trying to make sure we were in the right stances and doing things right fundamentally. And, and I'm proud of our staff, and I'm proud of our kids with the way we handled all that last year. What I'm not proud of is the way we handled some of the on the field things, some of the situational, things that happen with you within the kick game, catching the ball inside our own 10, being able to cover a certain way, getting guys, 11 guys on the field, doing things the right way, understanding situational football offensively, understand situations on defense. Some of the things that allowed us to win 7 games in 2019 were the same things that hurt us this past spring. So the thing that we talked about as a staff all summer, and what I'm trying to stress with this team is, obviously fundamentals are important, and the way what we do and all that's important, but we really got to come together and grow as a team and play together unselfishly the way the 2019 team did, and the way that team understood situational football. So that's what this camp's all about for us. If I talk a little bit about some of the players, we did change defense coordinators. Coach Steve Adams got a job at Norfolk State, and it was a Division I opportunity for him, an opportunity that he needed to take. And we were able to hire Brian Hill, who was with me both at Concord and Lenore Ryan, and we coached together at West Liberty. And he's our defensive coordinator, and I'm excited about the energy that he's bringing on that side of the ball. And we're going to be a little bit more multiple than we've been in the past with our own personnel groupings that allows us to play more people. And we're, hopefully his energy will be, contagious to the rest of the not just the defense, but to the team. And we'll run to the football, and we'll play, he likes to say we're going to run, hit, and get excited. So whoever those 20-some men who are playing on our defense for us week in, week out, that's the way we want them to play. How we're going to line up 3-4, 4-3, 4-2-5. I tell them guys, as long as it adds up to 7, it doesn't really matter, so it doesn't really matter what you do as much as it matters how you do it. Offensively, we're going to be as multiple as we've ever been. We're primarily built to be, a 2 tight end or 3 wide receiver team. We had some guys come in over the summer that I think could allow us more team speed than we've had since I've been here, that could allow us to play some 4 wide football. But, there's each of those personnel groupings have their own set of difficulties and ways you got to handle certain things. So how much our quarterback, can handle that and get us in the right place is going to be critical to who we are as a football team as well. Kicking game, we signed a junior college kicker. We had a really good freshman who I liked a year ago. Those guys will divide the kick and punting duties up. And, last year with our young kid, we had to put all 3 duties on him. And I thought that was a little too much for him to handle. So now if we could just figure out who's kicking off, who's putting the ball between the pipes, who our punter are, then we'll be in business. So we hope to find all that out in the next couple of weeks. School starts for us Monday. We basically started camp on Sunday, and we're going into this Saturday. We got a week of that, and then we got 2 weeks of school starts before we open up the Concord. So, with that, I'm willing to answer any questions y'all have.
Questions? Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, Coach, definitely appreciate your time. You mentioned some of the fundamental things that you didn't feel like your team did very well here in the spring. But I guess, how do you go about making sure those mistakes, either by physical or mental, are corrected as you all head into the fall this season?
I think a couple of things. We have really three things that happened. One, we had probably 70 new kids to the program a year ago. So we anytime you get a job, and I've had 4 of these different head coaching jobs, you're really trying to change that roster. So you go from having some veteran guys in year 1 that allow you to win some games to in year 2 having a bunch of new kids, because you really flip your roster over. So one, you're a little young, but that's really an excuse. All teams are young. So that was part of the situation. The other part of it is we really concentrated on the fundamentals of how to block, how to tackle, how to throw, how to catch. And we didn't do a lot of teamwork, where we worked together, part of that was by design, because we were young and we couldn't progress as quickly as we wanted because we were teaching those fundamentals. And truthfully, if I'm being honest, if it wasn't a COVID year, we'd have probably pushed some of the more team stuff. But I just kept, we just kept talking about as a staff, it's like, what's the hurry? We're not even sure we're going to play, and last fall we weren't, and then the spring we were able to, and then you didn't know from day to day when you were playing or who you were playing and all that. So it was unique, I'm not complaining. It's a fact of, we didn't handle that probably as well as we needed to. And the last part of it was exactly that, the COVID, just keeping a lineup together. I mean, even if kids didn't have it, this kid's on the tracer and he's practicing Tuesday, and then all of a sudden you come out Wednesday and you're planning on being in 4 wides the whole game, and you find out your 8 wide receivers, one of them tested positive, and 4 of them were with him. So now you're down to 4 wide receivers. So now all of a sudden you're trying to run 2 tight ends. So some of it was circumstance, but it's nothing that everyone else didn't have to deal with. It's just the state of fact of that's where we were at, and that's how we handled it. And moving forward, we're not worrying about those things anymore. Moving forward, we're doing more 11-on-11 ball. And we're concentrating on situational ball and how to play together.
Coach, I think you're going to be ushering in a new quarterback this year. Do you know who that's going to be yet? And if so, I mean, can you talk to us a little bit about what he's going to bring to the table?
Well, we got a situation. Tim Hetzel started for us some games in 2019. A lot of that was because Jalen was really our starter going that year, and he got nicked up in the second game of the year. And then I tried to bring him back a little earlier probably than I needed to. And then I went with Timmy, and, we played musical quarterbacks for about 4 weeks there. And then we settled back on Jalen. Tim got all the talent in the world. He could, I have all the faith in the world that he's physically capable of doing this. And he's a really smart kid. It's just, he just hasn't had that level of success, and obviously going 0-4 in the spring. And, the least popular guy on the team that doesn't win is the starting quarterback, and the most popular guy on the team is not winning, he's the backup quarterback. But a year ago we went out and got Corbin Pearson for a reason, the Jefferson County kid, and Corbin, I think Corbin reminds me a lot of some of those kids I had at Fairmont and when I was younger, Brian Harmon and Jared Ferguson. Those were the first 2 I had. He reminds me a lot of those guys. And the fact that, his freshman year, they were up and down at times. Both those guys redshirted and then struggled a little bit as redshirt freshmen. And then really their sophomore, junior, and senior years were, I think they were all league, or in Brian's case, I think he was player of the year as a junior and senior. I think Jared was all league those next 3 years, and both of them in their school's Hall of Fame. That's what Corbin reminds me of. But I'm also reminded that means that next year he's going to be good, if he's on the same timetable as then. We did go get a transfer from DeAndre Clayton from Morehead State, and he's 2 practices into what's a somewhat sophisticated offense. He's a really bright kid. He's made some plays for us, but you can't just stick him in there until he really knows what's going on. So right now we're just progressing, getting those guys reps. Will Atkins from Spring Valley's had, a very good camp 2 days in, and he's a big 6'4" kid that could throw it. So right now we're trying to get all those guys reps, not equal reps, but trying to get them all fair shake at this thing. And whoever moves the team the best and is able to take their team down and score touchdowns is the guy who'll be our starter.
So I guess fair to say then that Tim's kind of the front runner to start, but an open competition still at this point?
You're in camp, so really everything's, to always laugh about that. Listen, you got Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or one of them guys returning. It's almost always a open competition. So, yeah, I mean, Tim took the majority of the reps the first day, and actually Corbin took a lot of them day 2, and we'll give DeAndre a lot of them today. And you know, those guys get evaluated with everything they do. You know, it's really not who, and we're also in shorts. I mean, you know, how I can still go out there and throw in shorts. You know, it's a matter of who could go out there and play 11-on-11 ball in full pads and move the football team.
Do you still have eligibility left to go out and play in shorts?
I think I do. I think I do. I don't think I can avoid the rush very well, but yeah, if they let me throw Skelly, I could probably still complete a lot of ball, maybe a lot of check downs to the running back, but I could get it done, I think.
There you go. Coach, the big thing that, you know, now 2 years ago, 2019, the last full season, that stuck out was, I mean, your all's defense was flying around. I think you'd probably agree that the defense helped win a lot of games for you guys that year. How do you feel about your defense moving into this year? I know you're excited about Brian Hill and some of the things that he can do schematically. How do you feel about your defense?
Well, it really, and Brian's going to be fine schematically, but it's really his attitude, you know, is infectious, you know, and we got a lot of good young football players, especially in that defensive line. You know, our first recruiting class here, we really tried to build it big with the defensive fronts. If you look at our success at both Cal and you know, and Concord when I was there, we really changed the program by changing it up front. You know, so your first year or so, you're really trying to fix those offensive and defensive lines. I mean, skill, you know, I look at every team in this league. I mean, there's skill everywhere. You go 7-on-7s anytime you want, in pretty much any state you want. You see guys that can catch and run, and getting skills not as hard as finding those big guys that could block and those big D linemen that could win for you. You know, some of our Cal teams, I laugh at it, but I'm like, we have an All-American quarterback and a great D line. Of course, we're a good football team. I mean, teams win Super Bowls that way. So you know, I'm looking forward. We lost Dom, you know, Skoskis from that 2019 team. And obviously he was a great football player, but I think what really happened is our team believed in Dom and you know, or the Mays kid we had out there and all the things that they could do. You know, they believed in them so much, Sam Thomas, that group of guys, that it led to the other guys. Last year, we were kind of looking for those leaders. I think Dane Lynch and, you know, we really had a good class with Brandon Penn and some of the guys we brought in a year ago. But I think those guys are going to step into those roles and be the leaders for us and hopefully get us back to the way we were playing defense in 2019.
Anything else? All right, Coach. Now, you don't have to apologize about the way you dressed, but you're going to have to talk to Dwayne Martin because he's the one that really put the
He set the standard high on me. I saw that.